Have you ever wondered if your love interest is thinking about you? Let's find out using tarot. All you need to do is pick one of these 3 cards using your intuition. My name is Emmarie, and we are going to get guidance from Spirit on what your love interest is thinking about you and whether you should pursue a relationship with them. So let's go ahead and look at each of these piles up close to see which one triggers your intuition. And when you see the pile that triggers your intuition, you can go into the pinned comment or the description of this video to go to the link in the video itself, or you can scroll all the way there in the scroll bar. But let's go ahead and see. Pile 1 is this wonderful little plant. Pile 2 is this torch. And pile 3 is this cup or chalice, but a cup. Whichever pile has called out to you the most, that is your reading today. If you need to, you can pause this video and meditate on each pile. And then as soon as you have your pile in mind, as soon as your intuition is saying that one, that one, that one, go ahead and go to your part of the video, and I can't wait to get started. Hello, pile 1, my plant pile. Welcome to your reading. We are going to go ahead and get started by pulling one card from the Lover's Oracle to figure out what is the main theme that your love interest is thinking about you. Spirit, what would you like our friend to know today? What is most important? Your message for this card is it is important right now to take a step back and spend some time alone. Instead of placing your focus on another, now is the time to give to yourself. So this is an indication that you are really thinking about your love interest, and you're probably thinking about them too much. That doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't thinking about you, but there is a fixation or obsession that isn't healthy. And spiritually, we know that if you attach yourself too much to an outcome, you project your ego onto the other person, and that can actually cause your love interest to feel overwhelmed and even a little repelled. You want to attract, you don't want to push them away. And we're going to see what they're thinking about you and how you can avoid sending them in the opposite direction if they're starting to feel that. So let's first figure out exactly what your love interest is thinking about you. We're going to pull 3 cards from the Light Seers Tarot to get an idea. Spirit, what is it that their love interest is thinking? What is at the top of their mind? We have the 8 of Cups reversed. This is about an emotional return. So they are thinking about you. There was this period of time where they started to have less feelings about you, but something has brought them back to you. But I do think you are at risk of losing them because they might feel just a little too overwhelmed by your attention. But you've got them, like they are interested. We have the Fool reversed. This is an indication that they may think that you are acting foolishly or that you are acting in a way that they don't like. So they are interested in you, but they are no longer a fool. They are no longer just operating on first impressions. And now they are thinking, okay, what does this person how are they actually like as a person? They're starting to look at you at a deeper level, and I think that is a very good thing. That means that they are evaluating you for a relationship, but they are being a little bit more judgmental in a complex way. And so you definitely want to entice them rather than show the worst aspects of yourself. So you are in this weird position where the other person wants to get to know you better, but you seem to be showing not your good traits, but your negative traits. You might be the kind of person who is very honest, very sincere, but sometimes I find that people like this, in their desire to be upfront and honest with the person they like, they tell them all the terrible things about themselves or their worst flaws, or they let loose when it's not yet appropriate to let loose. You still need to put on your best self, but not your shallow self. You want to show the best traits that you are actually proud of. Don't try to be trauma dumping them or letting them know all your faults. You want them to be attracted to the best parts of yourself first, and then they can evaluate when they get to know you better if those flaws or things that you're struggling with are not that big of a deal, but they are going to think of them as a huge deal if that is what you are projecting when you are interacting with them. So the third card here is the Five of Pentacles. This is about walking away from a sure thing, walking away from security. It is about feeling a loss. So I do think that your love interest feels like there is some sort of lifestyle mismatch because you are projecting so much of your flaws and your concerns and your worries about your future. They aren't evaluating you as a lover would, but sort of as an economic partner. And that's not something you want to do, because we live in a world where, yes, our romantic partners are with us economically, but we do live in a world where people get together because of romantic interest, and that's what you really need to focus on first. You need that romantic chemistry, but so much of what they are looking at is, are you a good financial partner? And that's not where you want to build the foundation of your relationship, because it's just terrible for you. So let's go back to this card, which has a wisdom message for you. It is important right now to take a step back and spend some time alone. Instead of placing your focus on another, now is the time to give to yourself. So one thing I'm thinking about is that you may be looking at your love interest as a savior. You may be letting them know about your flaws and your worries because you want them to be prepared, but there's probably some aspect of you that is hoping this person will step up and save your life somehow, make it easier, whether they have a better job, they are economically blessed, or it looks like they're trending in the right direction, or maybe you're either equals, or maybe they're not as good off as you, but if you combined finances, both of your lives would be better. But I think because you are hoping so much that will happen, your love interest is thinking that maybe you don't love them romantically. Maybe you aren't attracted to them romantically. Maybe you are looking at them as a meal ticket, and that's not how you feel, but I think that is how you are coming off. So if you look towards yourself, if you ask yourself, how can you be more independent? You are going to be more attractive to your love interest. They are going to think, hey, this person, they don't like me just because they want their life to be financially better. They just like me because I'm a likable person. And so that is something you need to focus on. You really need to ask yourself, what can you do to be more independent? So let's actually pull a few tarot cards to get some insight on that. And we'll pull 4 cards for stability. 4 is a really great number for finances and conserving your economic security. Let's even shuffle 4 times. So what can you do? So the Strength card, this is about inner strength. It's also about a chaotic atmosphere, your own inner chaos. And so I think you need to not look at your tools or your current circumstances, but really take some time to reflect what you are good at. What is your essential soft skill? So when people are applying for jobs, oftentimes they actually aren't accepted, not because they don't have hard skills, but because they lack some sort of moral virtue or soft skill that would make them a really great person to have in the workplace. And you probably either have access to hard skills or tools, or you don't have access to them, but that's not what is important. It is, what are you good at? Are you an honest person? I think that's true. You're very sincere. Are you someone who is able to weather difficult circumstances? Are you someone that people smile when they are around? And this may sound like it's not an important quality for independence, but this soft virtue can be translated into hard skills. For example, someone who is very honest is someone who knows how to keep a true budget, someone who doesn't have reckless spending. And when you project those virtues and you're comfortable in those virtues, then your love interests, they're going to say, oh, this person is so honest. I really trust them. I really feel like they are someone I can rely on. So when you are being comfortable in your virtues and your soft skills, you are going to show them more, but I think you're going to show them in a way that isn't toxic to you, that doesn't discredit you. So an honest and sincere person shouldn't just start spouting off all their flaws and difficulties. Instead, when the other person asks them a question, whether it is a silly question, like, what is your favorite book to read? And maybe the person would say, oh, I like romance books, and that can be a little bit embarrassing, but being honest about small things like that actually tells your love interest that you are an open book. And if you are comfortable being honest or using those other soft skills and virtues in conversation, then it's going to be easier for this person to like you for really good qualities. And not just for shallow reasons that maybe you're attractive or anything like that, but your soft skills and virtues are an attractive quality, and I want you to really respect that. The King of Wands. This is an indication that there is someone in your life who really inspires you. Now, this could be a real person, like a friend, a family member, an ex, or someone like a celebrity or someone you've read about who you are really inspired by, but I think that you need to kind of study this person. It can just be a journal entry, but ask yourself, what sort of soft skills and virtues do they have? Once you've considered those soft skills and virtues, write them down and ask yourself why you like that person for those skills and how they have inspired you. Maybe there is someone in your life who is very honest, and because they were honest, because you dealt with them in a way that you were able to respect their honesty, maybe you modeled your own sincerity after that, and you will find that whoever this person is, maybe it's multiple people, you like them for their soft skills, and you're going to be able to believe that this person, your love interest, will also like you for your soft skills and your virtues. The third card here is the Star, Destiny, and it is upright. So even though you may feel at this time that you're not as successful as you could be, that is actually your intuition telling you that your life is going to get materially so much better. And it's probably going to get better not because of your relationship, although I do think if you got together, you would be more secure. It is actually something about you. You are going to be inviting more money into your life, perhaps through a job or maybe even just good luck, like an inheritance or something like that. But you don't need to fear that you need to latch on to this person for security. You are going to have security of your own in the future. And honestly, people that have a good future are very attractive. So if you believe that of yourself, if you trust that your destiny, your fate is going to be so much better, then you're going to act with that optimism in the world, and your love interest is just going to really feel overjoyed to be connected to you. The fourth card here is the Five of Swords reversed. This is about a loss. So I do think you need to be realistic. Sometimes with positivity and introspection, you will often hear in self-help spaces that you just have to only focus on the good. And you should prioritize the good, but you shouldn't erase the negative things that happen in your life. You shouldn't delude yourself. You need to address things. Is there something in your life that is going poorly? And then what you need to do is tell yourself, if this has happened, then I'm going to do this. Anytime you feel like you are going to spiral or you are going to have difficulties, you need to ask yourself, what is an action you can take? And your soft skills here, your virtues, could be really enlightening here. You're a very sincere person, so perhaps you would be able to really balance a budget, or at least be honest with yourself when it comes to shopping or lifestyle. That way you can control things. Or your sincerity could even extend to only pursuing jobs that you know you would be proud to do, that also pay you the appropriate amount. So definitely be honest about the difficulties in your life, because that is going to be the only way you can address them. So what I want to do now is pull some cards from the wisdom of the Oracle. Spirit, what else do you want our friend to know today about what their love interest is thinking? What would you like our friend to know? What is important and significant? The first card is happy, happy. So this is an indication that something about you really makes your love interest happy and excited to be around you. Maybe you're funny, maybe you are a great conversationalist, maybe you have a shared interest, but it's not a shallow attraction to you. This person is developing deeper feelings because there is something about you that makes them happy to be around you. And here, happy, happy, this indicates that both of you would be happy in a relationship together. It's not a one-sided romantic interest. You like them, they like you. You both recognize something wonderful in the other person that would make being together a positive experience. The second card is building blocks. So I do think your love interest sees a future with you. There is something you share beyond just similar interests, but you have similar goals or similar life values, and they are looking at you as a partner, not just economically, but a life partner. Maybe you have the same religion, you are the same political party, maybe you are from the same place, you want to travel, you want to have kids, you want to buy a house. Those big goals, there is something that you both have in common, and they're thinking, hey, I would be really happy with this person. We would not just get along in the moment, but we would be building something together. There is something you share. And even if you haven't talked about it yet, they are picking up on the fact that you share something really important together, and they want to build that future with you. And then for some reason, as I am looking at this card, I am thinking books. I don't know why I'm thinking books, but I'm going to try to come back to that if I can. The third card is Truth Be Told. Truth Be Told is an indication that something about this life provides clarity, provides a window to the soul. So maybe the reason why I was thinking of a book here is your love interest feels like they can really be themselves around you. You're very trustworthy. They feel like you won't betray them, and they believe that you would be able to just hang out together at home, be comfortable in each other's presence, and an open book, right? You're an open book, they're an open book when it comes to a relationship. And even if it feels like you are both keeping secrets from each other, both withholding things right now, when you read a book, when you open a book, you learn progressively more about the plot, and they are very interested in you. They want to know more about you. They just don't want to find out the difficult parts too much in the beginning. They want to know more about the good things about you, and they also want you to know more of the good things about them. So if you really talk about your flaws and your difficulties, that tends to bring up the other person's flaws and difficulties in conversation. They may feel compelled to talk about their struggles, and maybe they don't want to build a relationship based off of struggles. They want to build a relationship off of virtues, excitement, and joy. And I do think that they would be willing to work together on difficult things with you, but they want this to be a romance book, not a tragedy or anything like that, like a horror story. They want a romantic story with you. So what I want to look at now is how you can work your light in this relationship. I think there's definitely a bit of passive energy here where, yes, your love interest is thinking about you, and yes, you need to think about your virtues and project those to this other person. That way they can appreciate that. But what are some other things you can do to really move them from just thinking about you to actually asking you out or spending more romantic time with you if you are currently in like a situationship or anything like that? So let's pull 2 cards. Spirit, how can our friends really work their light in this relationship? What can they do? Ooh, the first card is Soul Family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. Of interest, we see a pair here, a pair of whales, a pair of dolphins, and I think you can learn a lot from the people in your life that have had relationships, either that are ongoing or relationships they've had in the past, and you can ask them for advice. But this doesn't just refer to people that you know in real life. It can refer to people that you are friends with online, and it can refer to your spirit guides. So if you have any spirit guides, you could converse with them. You could ask them to send you a sign, because that can really help your relationship go further. For example, you could say, hey, my guardian angel, could you send me a sign when I might be acting a little bit foolishly around my love interests? That way I can catch myself and really project my best side to my love interest. The next card is Mintaken, longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. So I think you need to consider how you can really spend time with this other person. To have a really positive relationship with them, you need to have a lot of small talk and share emotional experiences. I recently learned that one of the reasons why going to movies was such a popular date in the past few decades, even though it seems like you weren't really talking to the other person, is that you would go to the movie, you would experience all the emotional responses to that movie, and then after the movie, you would be able to talk about that experience that you both had together. You had an instant bond. And so anything you can do where you are emotionally triggered and then you can talk about it with this person is very positive. Movies are obviously very great, but it can be any shared hobby. It can even be gossip, although I would recommend being careful about gossip because you don't want to be mean to other people. Apparently couples that gossip together do stay together, but you can see how it's not these big expressions of love or these big events that create a relationship. It is the day-to-day stuff, and that makes sense, right? When you get together with this person, when you are truly bonded to them, most of your relationship is going to be about the slow mornings you spend together on the weekend when you are just having breakfast and you are watching something on television. That is a very important part of your future relationship. So trying to emulate that in some way now is super important. So let's pull one card from the Super Attractor Oracle to see how you can attract your love interest even closer to you. Spirit, how can our friend attract their love interest? What is a mantra they can keep in mind? All right, this is something to consider. When I cultivate a spiritual connection, I can trust the universe no matter what. So this refers both to your spirit guides. It is an echo of asking your spirit guides to send a sign, but it's also important to consider the spiritual connection you have with your love interest. Now, I think your love interest is almost certainly a soulmate. A soulmate is someone that you can grow with, you can really bond with, and recognizing that this person is a soulmate is going to make you treat this relationship in a way that you may not have treated it if you were simply getting to know them, if you simply had a crush on them. You have already advanced to the point where you are more serious about this relationship on the existential level. You are appreciating the future you can have together. And so if you look at this person not just as a body you are attracted to, a mind you're attracted to, but a spirit that you are bonded to, perhaps you're going to know each other over multiple lifetimes. But if you respect that, if you honor that, you are going to find that the way you interact with your love interest completely transforms. And I think you're going to find that the way they interact with you also transforms. Their higher self, their soul is going to feel that you are tugging at them on a spiritual level, and their spirit guides are probably also going to send them signs and help them out to get you closer together. They're going to play Cupid. So let's go ahead and look at some charms and some astro dice. First, let's do some astro dice to see what area of life you need to be aware of as you are pursuing your love interest. So we have the 11th house, which is friends, community. We have Taurus, which is about sensuality. It's about the fine things in life. And then we have the Sun, vitality, expression. So I see this as a powerful sign that you need to really treat your love interest as a friend, someone that you can have cozy experiences with, and someone that you can just enjoy really simple pleasures, really simple joys with. If you do that, you are going to find that your relationship with them really grows. Let's do a few charms. We have a diamond stud holder. We have a butterfly. So eternity, spirituality. We have a cat, 9 lives, knowing each other across many lifetimes. We have a tree of life. It also makes me think of Adam and Eve in the garden. We have a feather, makes me think of a guardian angel. We have a heart. You guys are definitely bonded together. And then we have a seashell, which makes me think of structure among chaos. So all of these really do tell me that this person is a soulmate, that your spirit guides, your guardian angels really want this relationship to happen, that you are very equally yoked, and that even when things are trying in the future, even if you are having difficulties in the future, you are both going to be very supportive to each other. So let's end with a pendulum reading to see a possible month when you are going to perhaps feel this relationship start to grow in a powerful way. Maybe you get together, maybe there is an important romantic moment. That way you know how to anticipate it. Spirit, what month will our friend be able to manifest this relationship? Likely, it's not a guarantee, but it is something to consider. What month? So I'm being drawn to December, January, and it seems to be really moving around. What that tells me is that it is likely to be around winter that you really start bonding, and I think there is a very particular reason for this. During the winter, we tend to be very cozy in the northern hemisphere. If you live on the equator or you live in the southern hemisphere, it could be that you are doing some sort of outdoor activity and it is really casual, you feel really comfortable with each other. And what I would really recommend is to do very casual things together. You can certainly dress up, you can certainly do something really epic, but really focus on the cozy, simple pleasures, and that is going to be what pulls you together. So, my soul friend, I am so excited for you to manifest this relationship. Be sure to like and subscribe for future readings. You can also go into the description or the pinned comment of this reading to book any private tarot readings you would like with me. Those are available. So, my soul friend, I am so excited for this to happen to you. I am so excited to see that your love interest likes you back. I think you can do this. I think it's worth it. And I am wishing you so many blessings. Hello, pile 2, my torch pile. Welcome to your reading. We're going to go ahead and get started by pulling one card from the Lover's Oracle to figure out what is the theme about your love interest. What are they thinking about you? What's the central idea? Spirit, what is the main thing we need to think about today when it comes to this relationship? What does our friend need to know? So the first card we have are these two people embracing, and then we have the message of forgiveness. Stop focusing your energy on past events, for life is too precious to waste. You create your reality by what you think, dream, and imagine. So it is possible that your love interest is really holed up on the past. They have positive feelings for you, but something happened in the past that has colored their perception. They are worried that the future could be good. They are really focused on either a bad memory or maybe a bad rumor they heard about you, and they are just really scared. And what they need to do is forgive you, or really you forgive them for having this idea in their heads. So let's pull 4 cards, 2 for you, 2 for them, about where you both are coming from. That way we can figure out what is at the heart here. Spirit, what does our friend need to know? So for you, we have the World. You are very embedded in a social construct, in external circumstances. Now, this card is upright, so it's not all negative, but I do think that you may be looking busy or not as involved in personal matters. The other card for you is the 7 of Swords reversed. This is a lack of strategy. So what I am thinking is that your love interest believes you are focused on your goals, your ambitions, your hobbies, your interests, and perhaps not as involved on relationships. This is a super common thing a lot of people are doing. It's not your fault. It is what we are told to do. And it is important to have a purpose, to have something to strive for. But the science is pretty clear that what we should actually be focusing on, what should spend the most of our energy, really should be our relationships. And I think your love interest is afraid that you are always going to put your career and your goals ahead of anything you could build together emotionally. And you're successful, or you will be successful. You're trending in that way. So it's very hard for you to say no to success. Now, what about your love interest? We have the Hierophant reverse, some sort of disorder or something falling apart. They don't have something to tether them. And then we have the Page of Cups reversed, a nasty surprise. So whether you see it or not, your love interest life is falling apart, and they may even be a little bit jealous of you. Yes, they like you, but as you are succeeding, as you are putting time and effort on your goals and dreams and all of those wonderful things, your love interest is feeling quite behind. Maybe they aren't getting the education they want. Maybe they can't get the job they want. Maybe they're not getting a promotion, or they're not earning enough. It could even be social. Maybe you have friends and they don't. Or maybe you have interest and they don't. And there's definitely this sense that yes, your love interest needs to work on themselves. They need to forgive you for being your own person. You should be your own person. Yes, you should probably spend more time on relationships, but I do think there is something in your love interest right now to where they are in this negative thought spiral. So let's actually pull some cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle to figure out what is the environment here. What are you working with? What is the potential? Can this negative energy be redeemed? Spirit, what does our friend need to know? So the first card is soulmates. So I do think that your love interest could build a life with you. They do have some negative thoughts going through their mind right now, and they should be way better than they are when it comes to their behavior and their thoughts. But I do think there is something there. It's not as if the tarot cards are saying, you know what, you should just give up this relationship. Your feelings toward this person don't matter. That's not what Spirit is saying. Spirit is saying there is something good about this relationship, but there is a flaw that is starting to break it apart. The next card is milk and honey. This makes me think of the Israelites' exodus after being in Egypt, and they were looking for this promised land of milk and honey, but they had a lot of tribulations first. So I think what makes milk and honey symbolically like a really important thing is that it is something that comes from the earth, like from animals, that doesn't necessarily cause a lot of suffering. You don't have to slaughter a cow or a lamb, I believe, in this case, in order to get milk from it. And you don't have to kill the bees in order to get honey from it. And so I do think part of what your love interest is failing to understand is that you do have a positive future together, and it's not about telling you to give up your hopes and dreams. Yes, you should probably spend a little bit more time and emphasis on the social relationships, but you're not supposed to give them up. And so I think one thing to consider is that your love interest needs something for themselves. They need something to drive them, some sort of ambition, something that they truly believe could happen, even though they may need to struggle a little bit first before they can manifest it. The third card here is co-create. There is actually an indication that you can both support each other. Let's say, for example, a couple, one person wanted to be a lawyer and the other person wanted to be a farmer's market stall owner. That may seem like something they can't do, that they can't focus on together. They're very separate career paths, but maybe the lawyer can help their partner manage all the paperwork in the business, make sure everything is filed correctly, help them with writing advertisements and all those sort of things. And then the farmer's market stall owner could make sure the lawyer has delicious food before they go into court. That way they are always energized. They are able to give their best. And so I think one thing you could both look at is consider what you are good at. What are you good at? What are they good at? And hyping up your love interest about one of their skills, even if it's not fully developed, is going to empower them to pursue that. And maybe you could support them in that endeavor. So ask yourself, what do they lack that you can give them? And what do you lack that they could give you? This is probably going to be something that you have to develop slowly over time as you build your relationship, but it's definitely something you want to consider. You need to be complementary in your relationship to each other. You need to both give something to the other. That way you seem consequential and that you are two halves of the same whole. So let's pull 3 more tarot cards for more about this relationship. Let's leave it up to Spirit for what Spirit wants you to know. What is important here? And I'm actually going to pull 4 cards. The first card is the 8 of Cups, leaving something behind that's emotionally painful. We have the Fool leaping into something. This makes me think that your love interest really needs to let go of their jealousy and then just trust you and trust their future. Now, this isn't something you can control, but it is something you need to see. You need to see that your love interest is throwing themselves into something really exciting, because if they're not doing that, and you can encourage them to do that, but if they're not doing that, then it's going to be really hard to get this relationship off the ground or increase commitment if you're already together. The third card is Temperance, moderation. The fourth card is the Knight of Pentacles. Things are erratic. So something about your potential relationship is at risk, partly because it's all or nothing. You may look at your love interest as all or nothing, and they may look at you all or nothing. There is this expectation of perfection, and you just need to abandon that. You may think that you need to see that your love interest has 0% jealousy when it comes to your life. That is wrong. Your love interest is always going to be a little bit jealous. You may have something in your relationship that is negative too, and you're not looking for perfection in each other. You are looking for things are generally good. And the Knight of Pentacles reversed is a sign that it's not going to be smooth sailing in the beginning financially. I do think that your love interest isn't where they want to be financially. They aren't as successful as they would like to be, and that is really hurting their ego, their sense of emotional security, and it's going to take some time to build up. So what you need to think about is not that your love interest is a fixer-upper, but they're on a journey just like you are on a journey for your goals and dreams. And it's possible you both may have very different goals and dreams, but if you are willing to accept that they are on their own journey and that it's not going to be this perfect manifestation right away, you are both going to be able to love each other for who you are. There are things that you like about each other that are already there. So let's actually pull 2 cards from the Work Your Light Oracle to figure out how you can work your light into this situation, into this relationship. What else is it that you can do? Spirit, what is it our friend can do to really make this relationship shine, to make this go from just feelings to actual commitment? The first card is Trust Your Path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? And so I think this is a sign that yes, you should keep pursuing your goals, your ambitions, and all of those wonderful things. And you may not feel supported by your love interest yet, but you need to realize that they are going to support you in the future. They're just not there yet, but they are going to support you. And so if you can handle your partner not being 100% on board right away, they will get there in time. And then once you do start feeling them really support you because they have their own thing going on, you are also going to find yourself really motivated to succeed. We often see this with couples when both people have their own careers, and even though it can be a little bit stressful for there to be 2 income earners in a household at the same time, when both people know that the other person has something going on, then if somebody gets sick or if they want to take a career risk to get a better position, or maybe they need to quit a toxic job and be unemployed for a few months to find a better job, you are going to feel more secure in your future because you know that your love interest has your back, they have their own thing going on, and you can relax knowing that you can take calculated risks. Now, this isn't something you can do right now probably, but it is something you're going to be able to do in the future. So I do think it is in your personal interest to really encourage your love interest to pursue their goals, even if they're quite ambitious, because as they move towards success, you are going to be feeling more secure in pursuing your own success because there is a foundation for you both to fall on if something happens in the economy, or if you end up having a terrible employee or you get sick, you can take time off and you're going to be financially okay. And sometimes you'll just know people. You'll be able to network through each other, and that'll give you more opportunities too. The second card here is the Pillar of Light. Your vibration is rising. You are the Oracle. So I don't think you realize how powerful you actually are when it comes to inspiring people. Yes, your love interest is a little bit jealous, and I hate seeing that in any reading, but oftentimes when somebody is succeeding, not everyone feels jealous completely. They might think, oh, well, if my partner can have a successful career, why can't I have a successful career? And you're probably going to display behaviors, you're going to make choices that will cause your love interest to think, hey, I can do that too. And the reason why is, yes, you have this high vibration, but you are making what was once abstract or unknowable very present and material in front of them. Maybe you wake up early to go to work, maybe you talk about how hard you worked, how you were able to pursue a particular opportunity, and then your love interest is going to say, hey, maybe I can do that too. Maybe I can mirror what they're doing. And you need to trust that as you are building that relationship with them, this goes back to not focusing too much on your career and really focusing on relationships. When you are building that powerful emotional bond, you are spending time with them, you learn things from each other. And part of the reason why is that you can't look at your life from an outside perspective. You need somebody else to tell you what is happening, to see the things that you aren't seeing. And so as you are building this bond with your love interest, they are going to be a sounding board. You're going to be able to ask questions, and they're going to be able to ask you questions. And you're just going to see life and each other's lives in this really complex and multifaceted way. So let's pull one card from the Super Attractor Oracle to figure out how you can attract this relationship. If you're currently single, how you can end up in a formal relationship. And if you are in a situationship or you're dating, maybe become engaged or move in together, get married, those sort of things. Spirit, what is the mantra our friend can use to attract this relationship in its best form? So the card here is, in stillness I receive. So this is a sign that a lot of this relationship is a waiting game. You can't do everything for your partner. You can only inspire them and guide them and then wait for them to take action. And so in order for this relationship to grow, in order for you to see the best manifestation of your emotional connection, is you need to wait it out. That doesn't mean that you aren't spending time together, that you aren't building that bond, but you need to wait out this person taking these steps on their personal journey, for them to get rid of their jealousy or get rid of most of their jealousy and then focus on their goals. And then as you do that, step by step, you are going to receive the better vision of this relationship. So let's do a few other things. The first thing I want to do is pull some astro dice to see what area of your life you need to be aware of as you are pursuing this relationship. So we have the 12th house. This is the house of spirituality and hidden things. We have Libra, which is balanced relationships. And then we have Saturn. This is about discipline. So you need to have some sort of spiritual practice, some sort of contemplative focus that is relationship related. And it's something you could do together. Maybe you could meditate together in the mornings, or you could take some sort of class together or go on a walk together. And that would be really, really powerful. If your love interest isn't super spiritual, maybe you could go on a walk in the park. You could take an athletic class together, a pottery class together, something that requires some sort of applied skill, or where you aren't just receiving stimulation from television or movies or anything like that. You are able to be in silence or work on something together. And that's something I really want you to focus on. Next, let's do some charms. Let's pull a few. We have 3 charms, which is quite a few today. We have the turtle, which is this really old creature. They have this protective shell. We have a butterfly, which is again spirituality. And then we have this angel. So as I'm looking at this, I do think there is some sort of spiritual being at work. Something that is very old, very ancient. It could be a guardian angel, it could be some sort of ancestor, but this spiritual being is looking at this relationship and believes that your love interest is your soulmate because there is something that you can provide for each other, that you can complement with each other. And so even though there is a little bit of that difficulty, it seems like your love interest had a failure to launch or had a difficult last few years, so they're losing confidence in themselves. But your spirit guides are looking at the potential for this relationship, and they are saying that if you get together, if you respect each other's individual journeys, you are going to be so much stronger than you were alone. And I'm not really seeing like things that you enjoy doing together or romantic chemistry, and it's not that that isn't important, but I think so much of your concern and your love interest concern about this relationship is that you are going in 2 different directions, that you have goals and ambitions that don't seem to work for a relationship, but that's not true. Yes, you do need to spend more time together, you do need to bond with each other, but even though everything is so separate between you and them when it comes to career and ambitions, you're still able to help each other. You're able to complement each other. And I think the more time you spend together, the more time you talk about your goals and ambitions and encourage each other, you're going to see how good you are together, and you're going to be thrilled to spend so much more time together than you ever did before. Just be aware that you may not be spending 12 hours a day working the same business together. You're going to have different directions you're going in, even if you're currently co-workers. But there's just something very positive about this relationship that is hard to see right now, but Spirit wants you to know that you're going to be stronger together. So let's use the pendulum, and we are going to be looking for a time in the year where this relationship is really going to speed up, where you're either going to finally get together, there's going to be a major romantic moment, or there's going to be some sort of next chapter event. So let's use the pendulum. From my perspective, it looks like we are getting November, so late fall. This is an indication, I think symbolically too, that as you're closing the chapter of 1 year, you are reflecting on the year and probably considering what sort of successes you've had. I also think this is a sign that your love interest is also looking at their year and evaluating things, and then realizing that actually being connected to you was a very positive thing. And so if you want to really speed things up, what you can do is be really focused on motivational activities, self-development activities that you can do together, partly because you can encourage each other, but also I think introspection that you both do together, even if you are just sitting down together at a table and talking about what you really loved in the last year, I think you're going to find that you actually really like talking about this with your love interest, because the soft skills, the qualities of your ambitions and their soft skills and qualities of their ambitions is actually really exciting to talk about. And so even if you can't necessarily talk shop and be very technical, you can still talk about the general moves and steps that you take to be successful. And that's one way that you can really build each other up. So pile 2, I really like seeing this today. I do think there are a few difficulties, but I think it is worth it. And I do think your love interest likes you, but be very aware that if you don't work on hyping up your love interest and encouraging them to pursue their own goals, or even just find a goal to pursue, it is going to be very difficult to get this relationship to manifest in a healthy way. And you really need to do that. If you don't do that, I don't think this relationship can happen. But if you did that, if you manage to hype your love interest up, you are going to be so thrilled with where this relationship goes. You are going to see your own life get more successful, and you're going to be able to support each other in ways that you've probably never got to experience in a relationship before. So be sure to like and subscribe for more. You can look at the description or pinned comment for a link to book a private tarot reading. Those are open. Otherwise, pile 2, I am so excited for you, and I wish you many blessings. Hello, pile 3, my cup pile. I am so happy to see you today. Let's go ahead and get started by pulling one card from the Lover's Oracle to get the main theme of what your love interest is thinking about you. Spirit, what does our friend need to know about their love interest thoughts? What is relevant and helpful? Your card is emotions are a natural and necessary part of life, but they can also distort your perception and cloud your vision. In order to see things clearly, you must let go of resentment. So I think your love interest does have feelings for you, but they have hyped up their idea of you in their mind. They've used stereotypes, and they like a version of you that doesn't actually exist. And as they're getting to know you more, they're getting a little bit upset that you aren't living up to their expectation. And so you are right, you are feeling, your intuition is feeling that they like you, but I think the more you get to know them, the more confused you are that they seem to not like the parts of you that you think are lovable, or they may have fictionalized you in their mind. So let's go ahead and look into this more. Let's see if this person could fall in love with you for who you really are, or if this is actually a relationship and a love interest that maybe you should turn away from. But let's find out. Let's start with 4 cards from the Light Seers Tarot deck. Spirit, what is going on here? What is important to know? So the first 2 cards are what he thinks, and the second 2 cards are his reaction to what he is realizing isn't true. So the Queen of Pentacles reversed. He thinks that you are someone who isn't committed to having your own path. The Queen of Pentacles is kind of like the mother, or the mother who works, and so they don't really see you as someone who wants more than just the simple things in life. They either think that you're just someone they can fool around with, you're not serious about anything because of that mother energy, or they don't recognize that you are a complex person with more than one want. Maybe they do recognize if you are a mother or considering becoming a mother or a father, a parent, whatever that is. they may not want anything else but that from you. And so that's part of the problem, is that they only want one thing from you, and it definitely seems to be related to intimate time together. The next card is the Sun. This is a very vital card. This is a very happy card, a very positive and creative card. And I think what we're seeing here is that your love interest believes you will make them happy, and that you are always upbeat and positive, and anytime that you are having a hard day or things are just a little bit difficult, they don't like that you aren't focusing on them. So far, I'm actually not liking what I am seeing in your love interest. Let's see how their response to the truth actually is. And that's not to say that you're depressed or that you aren't creative, but that your love interest sees this beam of energy as perhaps they witnessed a really, really good day in your life, and they just assume that you will never experience negative emotions, and anytime you are experiencing negative emotions, well, that's just not attractive. So let's get to their reaction. The Devil reversed is resisting temptation. So I do think there is actually some personal growth here. Your love interest is realizing that they did look at you in a shallow way. Perhaps someone pointed out to them that, hey, you're looking at you as not actually the right way, or maybe through talking with you, they realized that their perception was wrong. And they are starting to look at you seriously with a correct perception, because they recognize they need to see you for who you really are. So that's a good sign that they did recognize they were wrong in having this shallow, superficial expectation of you, and they are starting to see the truth. The Wheel of Fortune reverse. So I am getting the sense that your love interest doesn't feel like your timing is matching up with their timing, even though they are realizing they were wrong. They are looking at the real you and thinking, hey, I don't know if we're a match. This goes back to if they just had a casual interest in you, they just wanted to really just use you for intimate times. Maybe they're thinking you want more than that. You'll want commitment, or you'll want to get married one day, and they just don't want that from you. And so because you're not in the same place in life right now, I think that your love interest is thinking, hey, should I walk away? So far, my soul friend, I'm really not liking what I am seeing. I am seeing someone who is very immature. They are starting to grow out of that a little bit, but I'm just not certain. What I want to do now is actually look at if they can improve. And we're going to do a few things. So far, if you aren't liking this at all and your intuition is just triggered and you're saying, hey, I should probably walk away from this, your reading ends here. You can go about your life, you can start liking someone else. But if you want to see if there is any potential here, if you want to take a second look, that is what we're going to do now. So the first thing I want to do is use the pendulum to see how many months it would take for them to be an eligible partner. And although there are all the months of the year, what I'm really looking for are the number of months. So 1 to 12. If it's more than that, I think it's waiting around too much for this person. But let's use the pendulum. Spirit, how long will it take? How long will it take for them to grow? So I am seeing 10 or 11 months. That's really towards the end of the year, but it does indicate that they are going through some sort of transformation. And so let's see if it's worthwhile to see that end date and if you would still resonate with this person, because people can grow a lot in 10 to 11 months. And if you aren't growing together, because you probably aren't together yet really building, it may be a little bit frustrating to keep focusing your crush on them or your situationship or wherever you currently are in the relationship, because they aren't serious yet. And I do think that they would be interested in playing around with you, but until about 10 or 11 months, I think that's all it's going to be. But let's look at a few more tarot cards. Let's do 3 tarot cards. What sort of growth will we have by 11 months? I'm actually feeling we should do 6 cards, which is a lot. All right, so the Death Rebirth card upright is transformation. They are going to die to themselves and be reborn. So it's definitely going to be a major life transformation for them over the next year. The Lovers indicates that they are going to be looking for true love. So one thing that I think of that was really popular on social media in the last year was this idea of the next girl. And a lot of guys usually know right away when they meet, or it's usually guys, but I imagine women are the same way, and non-binary and all those sort of affiliations. But when someone knows that they love someone and they want to be committed with them, they know right away. But if they're just playing around with someone, they may actually be in a relationship that they would never commit to this person. Like, they know there is some fundamental mismatch. But I do think, and this is interesting, that your love interest is going to think within the next 11 months, hey, maybe this person, maybe you really are actually compatible with them. And that could be because you invest a lot of your time and emotional energy into them. And maybe it's because they don't know what they want yet. And it wasn't until they were able to see you for who you really are that they were able to appreciate what a person could be like in a relationship. They may have been deluded in all their past love interests before, and it's really only at this moment when they were wrong and they realize they perceived wrong that they are starting to see things in the correct way. The third card here is the 10 of Swords, which is about an end. So something about their current life is going to end. It's going to be like a hard stop, and they are going to start saying no to something. We have the 5 of Wands, chemistry, play fighting, competing. The 2 of Cups, a relationship. And this is a good sign. The 10 of Pentacles, which for me is the most positive card in the deck. It's just the one I connect with the most. This is about commitment. This is about making something tangible. And this is about legacy. And so what I am seeing is that over the next 10 to 11 months, this person, they are going to start being serious about someone. They're going to go through that transformation. They're probably going to realize they want something more serious when it comes to romance and relationships. But initially, at least in the beginning, with this 5 of Wands cards, this competition card, is that their eyes are going to wander. There is the potential of infidelity, and maybe it's not formal infidelity. If this is like a situationship or a friends with benefits situation where you're not actually in a relationship, it would be difficult to call it cheating. I really only approve of monogamy, but in these situations where people aren't in a monogamous committed relationship, I don't think that would be considered cheating in their eyes. And so even if you would be hurt, even if you aren't serious, they aren't going to recognize it's cheating until they go through that transformation and realize that commitment matters. So you really need to be prepared for, at least in the beginning, probably for the first few months, that this person just isn't going to take commitment seriously, even though they are going to get there around 10 or 11 months. And because of that, you're going to be frustrated. But they are moving towards a stable relationship and they want something. And I do think it is because they have perceived people wrong before in relationships, and they've probably had unfulfilling relationships in the past. And so as they are connecting with you, or if you choose to pass on this person, maybe they connect with someone else and they realize they actually do want a committed relationship. So they're definitely going in that direction this year. Let's pull 3 cards from the Wisdom of the Oracle for anything else you need to know about this situation. Spirit, what does our friend need to know about their love interest? What is on the near horizon? You know, I do remember that this cup kept like flying away, and normally I don't really think about that because they don't weigh very much, but with the cups in tarot representing relationships and emotions and social connections, I do think there is the risk that your love interest, because they are so flighty, they are a little bit shallow themselves, at least in the beginning, it's going to be really hard to keep their attention on you, and that definitely goes to the potential infidelity. So come to the edge. I think your love interest, this goes back to the Ten of Swords, which is about it could be a negative event. There's going to be something in their life that causes them to reevaluate what they want. I recently have been hearing from psychologists on YouTube, like actual clinical psychologists and psychotherapists, that one of the things that happens with near-death experiences isn't necessarily like being more religious or spiritual. It's actually caring less about materialism. And so I think there's going to be maybe not a near-death experience, but something serious like that with your love interest that is going to make them confront their mortality and start caring about the thing that matters, because a lot of scientific research on happiness and fulfillment does indicate that relationships are the most important thing you should focus on. And in my experience and in my observations, the 2 best relationships you could possibly have is a romantic partner and children, because you can have a deep emotional bond. And so some people can go without them. Maybe they have deep friendships, or maybe they're close with family, but the most accessible and usually lifelong relationships for people in our modern world is going to be romantic or having children. And he is going, or your love interest is going to really think that, hey, I need to be committed. And I keep having this masculine energy. And I do know that most people that do tarot cards tend to be interested in men, but I do try to not associate genders as much as possible, but I'm really feeling this masculine energy. And so there is quite possibly the reality for many who chose this pile that your love interest is the typical playboy, or they seem like a playboy even if they're like a woman. And because of that, they are probably really focused on things like the red pill, or being like really attractive, and they're caring about shallow things, but that is going to change. They are going to focus on more important things because something negative is going to happen to them. So thinker, your love interest is, yes, going to be less shallow. They're going to be really contemplating life. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they became more religious or got into something like Stoicism or started reading more. And then the 3rd card is to be fair. You could take that as being attractive or being just, right? Because there are balancing scales here. And so I do think there is a major change in your love interest for the better, but it is possible and you should prepare yourself for this, that when they go through this major transformation, some other aspects of their personality might change. Maybe they won't be as gregarious and social because they're going to be focused more on pondering the meaning of life. And so you need to be prepared for the fact that, yes, they're going to have a lot more positive qualities in addition to whatever initially attracted you to them, but there's going to be some major change in their personality. And it's possible that you may not necessarily be compatible anymore, or it wouldn't have been what you would have looked for them in a relationship in the first place. But let's see how you can work your light in this relationship, how you can make it happen sooner or be more positive if you just really feel connected to this person. And despite their current flaws, you believe that, not necessarily that they're a fixer-upper, because I think they're going to fix themselves, but that they are an investment you want to care about. So let's pull some cards. We're going to pull 2 cards from the Work Your Light Oracle deck. Spirit, what can our friend do to manifest this relationship? Don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? So this goes back to your love interest perceiving you in a certain way and then you not living up to that expectation. And you shouldn't. You should be able to feel comfortable being yourself. And if they don't like who you really are, that's their loss. You are a good person. It's perfectly fine for people to want different things in their love interest. But I do think that if you aren't careful, you're going to listen to what they wish you were like and then try to conform to that over the next 10 to 11 months. And you shouldn't do that. You need to be unapologetically yourself. Because again, your love interest perceived you wrong, and they also don't actually know what they want. They aren't satisfied with the shallow approach they have been pursuing in the past. And they do want something more committed. But if you're being the person that they think you were in the past, that relationship is never going to be a sincere and loving relationship that you both deserve. The second card is yes, just say yes. Okay, so I have a lot of problems with this relationship. I think there's the potential that you aren't soulmates, you can't grow together. But, Spirit is saying, there's a possibility here. There is a strong possibility that this person is growing in the right direction. It's not guaranteed. They have some flaws, but if you are willing to take a chance and walk away maybe a year from now if it's just not working out for you, if you're willing to spend a year or 2 of your life exploring this relationship, just saying yes right now might actually be really rewarding for you. But you do need to be aware that saying yes now means you're saying yes to the love interest that hasn't fully manifested as their transformed self. So they're probably going to say and do things that frustrate you, and it's just going to be a little bit upsetting. But if there are other things about this person you really like, I think it could work out. I think that they are seeing elements of who you truly are, and maybe they are liking that. Maybe through shared experiences you're having together, shared emotional experiences, they're thinking, you know what, I do like this person. It wasn't what I wanted in a relationship before, but this person is actually really attractive. And maybe that is what is happening here. But man, it really is a journey. Let's pull 1 card from the Super Attractor Oracle to see how you can attract this relationship sooner. What is a mantra that can help empower you? What is a mantra? Or an affirmation? The card here is, I can decide today to recalibrate my energy and commit to love and joy. So part of being in a fulfilling relationship isn't about just receiving love, but giving love. And I think one of the reasons why some people end up quote unquote settling for fixer-uppers is that they can devote a lot of time and attention to someone that needs more love. I think your love interest may have had a past where they weren't adequately loved, maybe by their family, their friends, or an ex-romantic partner. And because of that, they have those shallow perceptions when it comes to romance. And so when you choose to stay in this relationship and give sincere love to your love interest, they're going to respond to that. But you do have to be comfortable with the fact that loving someone, especially in the case of this flawed person who is transforming over time, you can't love everything about them. And it's a bit like when a parent has a rambunctious preteen who maybe they smell a little, maybe they are argumentative, maybe they're a little bit difficult, and it can be a really trying few years, but there are other things about that person. Maybe there are really good memories, or maybe through growing together, you build wonderful memories together. And so if you choose to love this person, this imperfect person, you can really build something from that, because I think they're going to be very appreciative. So let's do some astro dice and charms to end the reading today. What area of your life do you need to be aware of? We have the 11th house, which is friends, community. We have Pluto, which is transformation. And then we have Aquarius, doing things your own way. So I actually feel that this is your love interest life. When they go through their transformation, they are going to change their friend group. They're going to change their community group. It's going to be pretty radical. It's possible that right now they are surrounded by people that are losers or toxic or just really frustrating to be around. And if you were to talk to them, you would just be really upset, right? They're just terrible people, or they're just not people you want to be around. But your love interest, your person, is going to drop a lot of those negative relationships, and they're going to find better positive relationships. And I think if you love them now, if you invest in them now, you might be able to direct that a little bit. You might be able to help them, move them towards better relationships. Maybe you can provide them the perspective that, hey, so-and-so is just a terrible person. They make you do bad things. Or, hey, that girl you keep flirting with, or that person you keep flirting with, they don't care about you, right? Like all those sort of things. You can be a really good influence. So let's do some charms. Spirit, what do you want our soul friend to know today? A lot of charms. We have a foot, like walking, a bare foot, and the sand, a drag path. We have an elephant, wisdom. We have a sun, vitality. Maybe they're partly projecting qualities on you that they would want in themselves. And so the things that they're seeing in you right now, some of it is superficial, but some of it is what they wish they could be like. And instead of projecting that on you or other people, they're going to say, you know what? I would really like to be that joyful person that makes other people smile. The heart, love. We have a fairy. So it's possible that there are going to be these nature beings, these spirits of place, they are often a little bit mischievous. It's possible that your love interest, not necessarily cursed, but maybe not having a good relationship with their environment. And so those spiritual beings are playing tricks on them because they're not appreciative. Maybe they have a messy home, or they litter or something silly like that that they shouldn't be doing. And I think when they start acting better, those spiritual beings will actually start giving like gifts or rewarding them for their good behavior. I forget what this symbol is, but it's something that you see in medieval tapestries. So this could be chivalry. Remember how I said before that your love interest feels like a playboy, someone who may be interested in the red pill, and so they may have some toxic views of romance and of women, and now they're going to be more traditional, but in a positive way. They're going to be very giving. They're going to be very protective. They aren't going to be that toxic person that the internet has created when people are interested in casual relationships. We have a key to the heart. And then we have a crown. So I think that there is this sense that your love interest is ambitious or wants to be recognized, and that may be why they're projecting onto other people, because they want to conquer other people and then really achieve a lot socially. But when they check themselves, when they go through that transformation, when they focus on what really matters, they are going to be like a king of the home, a king or queen of the home. They're going to be focused on their own domain rather than trying to take from others or just live in a shallow way. They're going to have more depth in their life. So, my soul friend, I will be honest, when I first saw the first few cards, I was very skeptical about this relationship. I am still a little bit skeptical. I would say there's not a 100% guarantee that this will work out, but if you really like this person and you are willing to take the risk of a year or two to see if it works out, go for it. You might be pleasantly surprised, or you might have some good memories even if you walk away from this relationship. But otherwise, if you resonated with this reading, you can like and subscribe for more. You can also look in the pinned comment or description of this video for a link to book a private tarot reading with me if you'd like to know more about this or anything else in your life. Otherwise, pile 3, my soul friend, I am wishing you the best. I think that you are a wonderful person, and whatever happens, I do think your love interest is going to see you for who you really are, and that you are a truly lovable person.